Let you be right. Megan Trainor, new music on 101 FM. Do you know, it's always, I love it when you have well-behaved children. And I just said to our next guest, Mark Anthony, you know, your kids are really well-behaved. They're welcome to come in the studio. So one of them came in, had a look and ran out again. But there you go. Mark, welcome to 101 FM.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thanks for having me.
We've been trying to do this for a while.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
And I know that our mutual friend Sheila is listening. And
hello, Sheila.
She's put her back out.
Has she really? I don't want to ask how.
I reckon. Well, David's been buying more drum kits. So
I bet he has.
Yeah, she was probably sorting him out.
Well, it weren't for drumming, let me tell you.
Oh, indeed. But that's another story. So, Mark, as we say, we've been trying to get you here for a while. For those that don't know, Mark, very well known here locally on the Gold Coast, throughout Australia. In fact, the rogue hypnotist. You've got an interesting background, and like me, you're a fellow Brit.
Yes.
Unlike me, you had a kind of different upbringing. So very briefly, just take us back to how you grew up.
Yeah, sure. I actually grew up in domestic violence was a big thing in my home from the age of, you know, from when I can remember. Domestic violence, we grew up with a lot of that. I was then put into children's home, and from children's home, I just became a complete rogue. Hence the title, The Rogue Hypnotist.
Yeah.
From the children's home, I then came out. I was a huge car thief. I did many other things that I'm obviously not proud of. But
so how old were you then, Mark? What age were we talking?
From the age of 8 till 12 was the children's home. Okay. And then I came out there and just got into more and more trouble. And the courthouse was my second home at the time. And then I went to detention centre just before I was 18, juvenile detention centre. And the judge, I'll never forget, the judge said to me, because I was in and out of detention centre every weekend pretty much, and he said to me, look, this time I'm going to give you a thing called a short, sharp shock. He said, you'll either turn your life around or you'll be in and out of prison the rest of your life.
Right.
And I chose to turn my life around. It's all about choices, Mike. Everything Absolutely. We do in life.
And that must have been, so again, when you had, how old were you when that happened?
I was 18 when I was inside there.
Yeah.
And I came out of there and started to turn it. It's not a 5-minute job to turn your life around from that sort of environment. I grew up on a London housing estate that was very rough and ready. So to turn your life around takes time. And I started from the time I was in detention centre. And
clearly, because you didn't have, I mean, without going into too much detail, you didn't have that sort of parental support that people, you know, your own family would normally get you on the straight and narrow. It was pretty well down to you then.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm a great believer in we take ownership of everything we do. And when at a young age, you don't realise that. As you go through life and get older, you realise you either take ownership and you choose it. Everything's about choice in life. You choose or you allow others to choose for you. So if others choose for you, you can blame them for all the things that go wrong in your life. Well, what a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
So the reason that you make your own choices is because then you take ownership of everything you do in life.
So you're in your teens and you decided, you know what, this is not for me.
Yes.
So you made a decision. What was your ambition then? What did you actually want to do with your life?
I always knew that I'd become something. I lost 4 friends to heroin. They were my 4 best friends that I grew up with. We were all glue sniffers. We went on to marijuana. We went on to cocaine. Then from cocaine they went on to heroin, and I lost 4 of them. Gosh. So I then decided that this not for me. They chose a different path to me. And of course, you know, my path was much better than theirs. I always knew I'd be successful at something.
Yeah.
And I'd always had an interest in the mind. I knew the mind was the only thing to get me where I wanted to go. Nobody else was around me. The sort of people I grew up with definitely couldn't have got me anywhere themselves.
So that must have been such a wake-up call for you to lose not just 1 but 4 of your friends.
Yes.
The drug overdose.
Absolutely. And I've still got friends that are addicted over there in the UK still now. The other friends. I grew up with, you know, some great people, but they just chose a different path.
Just speaking to you now, I guess one of the things that you would want to do because of your nature is to try and help them and get them through that and get them out of it.
Yes, I love helping. I love people.
Yeah.
I really, truly love people. To me, you know, but again, I'm not... I've got sympathy for certain things in life and certain people, but if I can show sympathy and then they still carry on down the same wrong path, then I'd lose that sympathy for them.
As you say, you've said it yourself, people have choices.
It's your choice. You know, you've chosen this now and you're doing something you love, same as me.
Yeah.
It's about our choices. you've now ended up doing a radio station, doing the things, like you said, that you love to do.
Absolutely.
You've waited years for it.
And, to do the show that I've always wanted to do. Basically, I can get away with it because nobody else will have me.
Yes, exactly.
So let's fast forward now. Here we are, 2018, and every time I go on Facebook, because obviously we're Facebook friends on there, I say, wow, he's done another cruise, he's done this, he's done that. I mean, what a change around. As part of your act, when you're doing your show, do you sort of delve? Do you explain to people? Do you share a bit of your story?
I do. I'm very open with my life story, because then in years to come, if I become even more famous, then people can't say, listen, that Mark Anthony did this and he did that because it's all in the book.
It's there,
My book tells all.
So you want to get your skeletons out before the Daily Mail do it?
Absolutely, yes, why not? There's nothing wrong if you've done things wrong in life. Take ownership and then just learn by those mistakes you've made. And that's just me. I'm somebody who learns by a lot of mistakes, and I've made plenty, believe me. But I've now learned by the mistakes and moved on in an incredible way. I tour the world on 5 different cruise lines,
all these cruise ships.
Fantastic. I do shows all over Australia and other countries. I've got a clinic on the Gold Coast where I treat people on the serious side of hypnosis. I do seminars. I train other hypnotists. I'm very, very fortunate. Very fortunate.
So how do you feel? I mean, obviously we've got back in the UK Paul McKenna for about 10 years. He was huge. And Paul McKenna and I worked together at Radio Top Shop in London.
Did you really?
I had no idea he was into hypnosis. Wow. Nobody knew. He was just a DJ like the rest of us. But Paul helped so many people to lose weight and stop smoking, whatever. But then his demons took over and he ended up with an addiction.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, that's right. And again, his choice. His choice. It's like it's like drugs. We either choose. Some people say to me, "I take them to just to be high." Well, to me, if you can't get high on life, just don't get high.
Isn't there? Yeah.
And that's only because I've lost amount of friends to drugs. So, and I've done the drugs, and I've learned by them the wrong things, and I did the wrong things while I was under the influence of them, and that's why I chose to come away from them. But Paul McKenna, I will say, he still is one of my heroes.
Oh, magnificent
great
performer.
Guy. Yeah, amazing.
It was really interesting because we had no idea, and all of a sudden this guy turns up thinking, is that the guy from Radio Top Shop? Yes, it is, which is awesome.
He's actually mentioned in my book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's actually mentioned in there. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And of course, as a dad, you're a role model to your children.
Yes.
So your kids, and I guess obviously they're still young, but as they get older, they'll probably admire Dad's honesty.
Yeah, and bizarrely enough, if I don't know how long we've got, but I just want to tell you a very quick story of another good friend of mine he's actually a massage therapist and very, very successful. I mean, he made so much money because he was such a great massage therapist, and he was from Sydney. He moved to the Gold Coast probably 2 years ago now. But I was talking to him because I also want to do a thing called Rogues to Riches, which is other people that have been rogues in their life and they've turned their lives around. Not necessarily financial riches, but riches as in, I'm sitting here, I can see you. I have my eyesight. I can hear you. I've got my hearing. I can taste food. I can do things through my choices. Those are the riches. I'm doing a job that I love.
Yeah.
That's riches to me.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and we all have riches. It just depends how we look at those riches. So I said to him, look, I'd love to do an interview with you and start a podcast and do an interview with you, because I knew he was a little bit of a rogue when he was younger. And he went, oh, no, definitely not.
Okay.
I said, what do you mean, no? He said, no, because I don't want my children knowing what I was like. He wasn't as bad as me, but he was a bit of a rogue. And
yeah. But then again, I suppose, looking at it from his side, if he's got a business and he's got clients, he might think that might scare them off as well.
Yeah, he maybe thinks that, and I can tell you now, it hasn't scared any of mine off. It really hasn't. It's actually, I think because I'm so open, and 75% of my clients on the Gold Coast in the therapy clinic are women. So if there were anyone going to get scared off, it would be the female clients.
Yes, yeah.
But they're not. I think people they accept openness, especially Australians. Australians tend to go for the underdog a lot of the time, and I love that about them. Yeah. So, to me, if you're open about something and honest, that's all they want.
Indeed.
And I have been, and that's why people have taken to it.
So what came first, what I call the serious hypnotherapy, where you're helping people to give up addiction, stop smoking, whatever, or was it the theatrical side?
No, I'd love to say it's theatrical. It wasn't. It was the clinical.
Okay.
And that's because I don't believe anyone should be doing stage hypnosis unless they're clinically trained first.
Yeah.
That's because there's so many things that could go wrong, and unless you're clinically trained, you're not going to know what to do with those things that go wrong.
No, especially on a live show.
Yeah, and I don't train anybody stage hypnosis, and I could have made a fortune. I don't train anybody in stage hypnosis unless they're clinically trained first. So.
Yeah, which is reassuring. I mean, there was I hope you did enjoy it. There was an awful program on, I think it was 2 years ago, called You're Back in the Room.
Yes, I know, yeah.
It was awful. And to me, that did not do your industry any good, especially the serious hypnosis. But, I know people that have had huge success with hypnosis, and that didn't do it any good. It cheapened it, and it made it... it was a circus.
And Mike, it's hard for me to say to actually come back on that one, because I obviously do stage shows.
Yeah.
And I've worked very hard on the stage shows, but the people on the stage are as important to me while they're on that stage as my children are to me every day. I look after them. Safety to me is the biggest thing. Ron Rico, believe it or not, on literally a few months before he passed away, and I loved him. He was such a great guy. We became good friends. He actually said to me before he passed away, Mark, I know you do an adult show. He said, and I never did it. He said, I didn't need to, because I used to pack them in thousands at a time back in those days. He said, but you must give the audience what they want. And I did. And I started an adult show, and it became huge. It was the biggest thing.
Yeah, well, I've only ever read good stuff and heard good things about it.
Great,
and
excellent.
As I say, I look at your videos from the various cruise ships and whatever. Mark, if people want to see you locally, if they're interested, whereabouts are you?
I'm in Bundall. That's where the clinic is.
Yeah.
And I've just done a show last week at Surfers Paradise Golf Club, but we sold out very quickly.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing another one back there in October, November. I'm going to Adelaide to do some shows, and Perth. So I really love local. I really am interested in doing more local stuff. So they can go to my website, hypnotist.com.au, or if they want to download the free ebook about my life story, the autobiography, that's theroguehypnotist.com, and they can get the downloadable version free.
Which is fantastic. And again, what we'll say is, we always say, if you miss those details, you can always give us a call here on our usual number, 3808-8101. It is fascinating, and I could sit and talk to you for hours, because, it's the kind of thing, wow, so what happened when you did this, and what happened when you did that? Did you ever think, when you were sort of coming out of what I would call the dark side, did you ever imagine that one day you would end up living in the most beautiful country in the world, in the best part of that country, doing what you loved?
No. I had that as a vision. I would live abroad. I always knew I'd live abroad.
Yeah.
I always knew I'd become a great hypnotist if I could get into it, because nobody would teach me at the time years ago. And I had to teach myself, and then I got certified by another hypnotist, but I didn't know I'd end up as big as I am. So I do thank the universe for that. I truly do.
But that's down to you, and you made that choice.
Exactly. Like I say, choices, you've just said it. Adversities, we all go through adversities. Choices, we've all got choices. Can I just say one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard? So Winston Churchill, if you're going through hell, just keep going. Everybody goes through hell at some time. Just keep going. You'll come out the other side.
Yeah.
But it's all about the choices that you make on the other side. So.
There you are. Mark Anthony, the Rogue Hypnotist. If you want to find out a little bit more, if you missed the details that he gave out, 3808-1101 will put you guys in touch. You can just Google him on Facebook, and you can download the free ebook as well. An absolute joy to chat to you. As I say, it's just amazing, and I love a good news story. I really do.
Well, I hope you enjoy the book.
So thank you very much for the book as well.
Absolute pleasure.
Looking forward to that. If the current Mrs. Bennett is listening, I've actually found a book that I'm going to read. I know she doesn't believe me. I can tell that right now. So there you are. We still get a chance for 3-Word Mondays. Describe your day or your weekend in just 3 words. Pop it in the Facebook page, and we will read it out between now and 12 midday. Coming up at 12 o'clock through till 4, Mike Anderson will be in the house, giving away much better prizes than me. I'm a Scotsman. I give nothing away. Come on, you know that.